the evening that the Red Devils seem to be heading directly to hell, as just in 15 minutes into the game, Manchester City is already taking the lead. This is Trending News. My name is Brian Amwai. Let's get started on this bulletin. But remember, you can get in touch with us on our social media handles at Amwai Brian, on Twitter at LookUpTV, or send us an SMS on our SMS line, or also we are live on Facebook. Now let's get started with some politics. ODM leader Raila today took his campaign to Nyandarua County in an attempt to mobilize support for his 2022 presidential bid. Raila began the tour at Soko-Mjinga flyover. Now addressing residents, Raila promised to bring the country together and kick out tribalism. The ODM leader is accompanied in Nyandarua by a host of Mount Kenya leaders, among them governors, members of parliament, senators, as well as grassroots leaders, including Lee Kinyanjui of Nakuru, host Governor Francis Kimemia of Nyandarua, James Nyoro of Kiambu, and Governor Ndiritu Mureithi of Laikipia.
Sawa, harakati ya tatu ni ya uchumi, economic revolution of Kenya, na hii ni ya vijana. Vijana mko? Vijana mko? Mko tayari? Ndio sababu juzi mimi nilitangaza azimio la umoja. Hiyo umoja waanzilishi wa taifa letu ndio walisema tukae na undugu, amani na uhuru, raha tupate na ustawi. Sio? Ndio sababu baba anapiga mbio la mgambo. Nataka watoto wetu wote wapate fursa ya elimu kuanzia nursery, primary, secondary mpaka chuo kikuu, hata kama wazazi hawana pesa. Na wakimaliza wapate mafunzo maalum. Wengine watakuwa ICT experts, wengine watakuwa mechanics, wengine watakuwa plumbers, wengine watakuwa electricians na kadhalika. Wapate kazi ya maana. Sio ati kazi ni kazi, ati wabebe wheelbarrow, hapana. Sawa. Sawa. Mimi nimesema tunaweza kuboresha uchumi wetu wa Kenya, sio? Sio, inawezekana.
Now, away from that, KAKAMEGA Boys High School was today morning on fire when the school's dormitories began to burn at around 12:30 a.m. Meanwhile, students at Buruburu Girls School who went home due to fire outbreak will return to school next week on Monday. Irene Mwangi with more on that.
KAKAMEGA Boys High School was on fire today in the morning when the school's dormitories began to burn at 6 a.m. The dormitories, which are said to have sheltered more than 500 students at the school, started burning early in the morning while students were in class for morning lessons. According to the school principal, Gerard Orina said no student was injured and the cause of the fire is still unknown. And he also added that the investigation of the cause of the fire is still ongoing. Elsewhere, the Buruburu Girls Administration has announced the reopening of the school just days after the dormitories were burned on fire. In a letter sent to parents on November 5th, the administration urged them to ensure they pay all the fees before sending students back to school. In addition, parents have been instructed to pay 1,500 shillings, the money that will be used in the construction of the dormitories that were burned. The school administration further informed the parents and the guardians that no vehicle would be allowed at the school compound on the day of reporting. They also added that the students will not report at the same time. Form 3 and Form 4 students were directed to report to school on Monday, November 8, and Form 1 and Form 2 students are expected to report on Tuesday, November 9. Irene Mwangi, Look Up TV, Nairobi.
Now, follow up on that, parents have blamed the Ministry of Education following fires being witnessed at various schools in the country. Speaking in Kakamega, the parents say that the ministry has contributed to the current situation by failing to give students a break and giving them the opportunity to participate in sports activities. They have also criticized the Minister of Education, Professor George Magoha, for his statements urging parents to fund the construction of schools that have been set on fire. The parents say they are facing a high cost of living as a result of the effects of the coronavirus, and giving them the burden of school construction is sabotage. They have urged the ministry to put in place effective strategies to prevent such incidents from happening again.
So tumesikia ripoti waziri amesema ya kwamba shule ikichomeka hao watoto wenyewe ndio watakaramia. Mimi nataka kuambia Magoha hivi. Magoha, ulienda interview tukafikiria wewe mambo wewe ndio utaweza. Lakini sasa wewe nayo imekushinda sana. Hata afadhali mwenye alichora rangi huyo mabasi na akaenda.
Serikali ina machinery yote, ina uwezo, itenge pesa ya kuweza kugaramika hiyo hasara ambayo inatokea.
Walisema serikali imepeana pesa kwa shule ya serikali. Hizo pesa inafanya kazi gani kwa shule? Na kama ni kujenga madarasa, CDF inajenga. Ile pesa walipewa kwa shule ni ya kununua makaratasi watoto kuchora ama mtihani.
Waliane walimu na upulasi na wazazi wakaramike. Wasaidiane kujenga, si ati wazazi peke yao, pia walimu wanachangia hizo mashule kuungua.
Na ni lazima mtoto apumzike hata kama ako kwa kitabu, boss. Hiyo tuelewane tu hivyo. Lakini sasa mkitaka kufungia watoto vile wameruti sasa mpaka Disemba, hiyo shida ndio imeanza kutokea. Hii mambo ya kuchoma mashule tulikuwa tumetoka hata tulikuwa tumesahau. Lakini kufungia watoto ndani ndio inaleta watoto wanaanza kuchoma shule.
Yes. Kule nyumbani msasi anaishi kwa nyumba ya makuti. Na waziri anasema kwamba mzazi aenda achenge korofa ambaye hata kwake penye anaishi hajaishi kwa korofa.
Kuchukua huo mzigo uwekee wazazi, hilo ni jambo ambalo halistahili. Sababu huwezi chukua makosa ya mtu mmoja uweke hiyo adhabu kwa watu wote. Hiyo haistahili na ni jambo ambalo halikubaliki kabisa.
Hiyo shule imejengwa na mamilioni. Mimi mwalimu school fees nalipa ya 50k. Hiyo 50k ama 35k itajenga shule. Gorofa mzima 50k itajenga. Hiyo inafaa serikali yenyewe isimame na ijue shule ikichomeka wenyewe wagaramie. Juu ukienda kwa police station ikichomeka, serikali si inagaramia kujenga. Tena serikali hiyo moja igaramie shule.
Now, away from that, human rights bodies have launched a probe into the killing of 4 elderly women in Marani sub-county of KISII County on suspicion of engaging in witchcraft. Now, this comes as the latest intervention in the matter that has raised debate over the place of culture in modern society. The Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, who will be leading the investigations, noted that there is a need to educate members of the KISII community that witchcraft is just a myth, often intensified by mischief.
No Kenyan should lose their life because of some ill-defined accusations of witchcraft which are difficult to prove in the courts of law. The Constitution of Kenya, Article 40, provides that every person has the right, either individually or jointly, to acquire and own property of any description in any part of the country. This is also a universal right accorded to every individual, which the state must protect by all means. Article 60 of the Constitution ensures equitable access to land and security. Nobody should therefore deny another person the right to ownership of property, much worse through malicious allegations of witchcraft. This is a non-derogable right which every individual is entitled to. Therefore, any criminal acts of illegal gangs that amount to torture and inhuman degrading treatment is a criminal offense for which severe punishment must follow. The Kenya National Commission on Human Rights notes that the lynching trend largely targets old and poor widows in KISII land. While some old men have been victims of the horrid practice of witch burning in KISII land, women, particularly poor old widows, are predominantly targeted. The state, through its duty bearers, such as the local administration officers, chiefs, and law enforcement officers, must work and react with a sense of urgency and speed up investigations to stop this outlandish practice to ensure that protection, justice, and redress is served.
Now, on that note, we take a short break here on Trending News. We'll be back with more stories, including sports.
The future of money is simple, like unlocking possibilities with a smile and having the world in the palm of your hand. It's the ability to touch many lives at the same time and turn your dreams into reality. It's forgetting and still remembering. Simple is having everything that you love in one place. From the ticket to your next meal, to your ticket to the next holiday. It's an easy way to ask for a boost when you're low. And keeping track of everything on the go. The future of money is simple, and it's here. Download the new M-Pesa app today.
Yeah.
Are you looking to turn your passion to purpose? Vera Beauty and Fashion College now brings you online classes at the comfort of your home. We are a TVET-approved institution with over 20 years' experience in training competency-based courses in fashion design and creative arts, cosmetology, hairdressing, beauty therapy, interior design in soft furnishings, event decoration and flower arrangement, hospitality and catering, and training of trainers. To enroll, call us today on 0704 577 577 or visit our website at www.verabeautycollege.com. Vera Beauty and Fashion College, a center of excellence.
Help me identify a beautiful womb. I never came across one till I got to Vera.
Please make those payments and take dinner out the freezer. Enjoy your day off.
How was your day?
Great.
Did you pay the bills?
Abby did it.
And the plumber?
Abby did it.
Send money to your mom?
Abby did it.
Who's Abby?
Bank on WhatsApp with Abby, your 24/7 digital personal banker. Another digital innovation that gets things done. That's Africanacity. That's ABSA.
Did you take dinner out the freezer?
Want to grow your business? Broadcast your sermon, share birthday wishes, make funeral announcements, produce adverts and documentaries? Then book and advertise with us today by calling us on +254 700 893 542
700 893 542
or email us on sales@luke-up.tv. Like, follow, subscribe, click the notification button. Join the Look Up TV movement now.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us here on Trending News on Look Up TV. Remember, you can also get in touch with us on our social media handles at Amoy Brand on Twitter, at Look Up TV. The hashtag is Trending News. Tell us where you're watching us from and what you think about the stories that we are running today. Now moving on, Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka has promised to make secondary education free if he becomes president in the next year's election. The former vice president was speaking at his Yatta home in Kitui, also said he was best suited to lead the One Kenya Alliance, and as the race for president heats up, ODM leader Raila Odinga has also said today that he will ensure every child has access to secondary education. According to a study by the Kenya Institute of Public Policy Research and Analysis, most Kenyans have only attained primary school education.
Nataka nitangaze serikali tutakayounda ya OKA Wiper ikiwa mstari wa mbele itahakikisha kwamba watoto wetu form 1 to form 4 wanasoma bila karo. And I'm now saying, in order to make it a realistic dream, wakati mimi nasema tuwe na 24-hour working economy. Wakenya wafanye kazi na shift ya kwanza, shift ya pili, shift ya usiku. Kwanza inaanza usiku wa manene na utaona vile vijana ambao hana kazi, kila mtu akipata kazi. Tumesema hivyo. Kwa shida ndio zile wakati wengine wa Wiper wanasema kazi bila wizi. because wengine wanasema kazi ni kazi. Nasema hapana, ni kazi bila wizi. Nyinyi ni wezi, mwajulikana wazi na dunia nzima.
Nataka watoto wetu wote wapate fursa ya elimu kuanzia nursery, primary, secondary mpaka chuo kikuu, hata kama wazazi hawana pesa. Na wakimaliza wapate mafunzo maalum. Wengine watakuwa ICT experts, wengine watakuwa mechanics, wengine watakuwa plumbers, wengine watakuwa electricians na kadhalika. Wapate kazi ya maana. Sio ati kazi ni kazi, ati wabebe wheelbarrow, hapana.
Now, away from that, the government has been accused of scaring away investors after it emerged that it has not paid a supplier for goods it received 26 years ago. Now, Equip Agency Limited claims that between 1995 and 1997, it supplied anti-malaria equipment to the Ministry of Health in a contract exceeding 1 billion Kenya shillings at the time, but the government failed to pay up, with the debt now accruing to over 80 billion shillings. The company has sought Parliament's help to find justice. Calvin Kodalo with that story.
According to Equip Agency, it has not received payment after fulfilling a contract signed with the Ministry of Health to distribute anti-malaria equipment worth more than 1 billion shillings in 1995.
Inquire into the matter raised in the petition with a view to establishing the circumstances under which the Ministry of Health has for over 25 years refused to pay Equip agencies for goods supplied as per the supply contract, 14th July 1995, in spite of having acknowledged receipts of the goods meeting the specifications of the contract.
In a petition that was brought before the National Assembly's Health Committee by Nandi Hills MP Alfred Keter, Equip Agency told the committee that even after court orders in 2011 and 2017, the Health Ministry still did not pay them.
As at today, there is nothing by way of any matter remaining for determination by the court. The court has determined this money is due and owing, and there is no case remaining in court for purposes of questioning or setting it aside.
With the debt compounding for the last 26 years, Equip Agency claims it tabled an offer of 15 billion shillings to settle the debt last year, but the offer was ignored.
That in spite of the company waiver of 65 billion, the government remained non-committal, thereby collapsing the negotiations.
Equip Agency's director appealed to the National Assembly to help him secure his rights, saying he was in debt.
The company is currently facing auctions by financial lenders who are demanding repayment of the loans and interest accrued on the loans it borrowed to procure and deliver the goods to the Ministry of Health and overseas suppliers credits totaling to 9 billion. That if the matter is not immediately resolved, Equip agencies risk being declared insolvent, and as a result of having supported the government's initiative to make Kenya a malaria-free country by supplying anti-malaria equipment and drugs in good faith.
And Nandi Hills MP Keter criticized the government, saying it lacked respect for the law and that its actions could have the effect of driving away investors.
If you want all these investors, including this one who is doing, this is a private, the one who is making noise here, is a private investor from abroad, investing for the betterment of our country, which I want to agree, as I summarize, Chair, that for the investors who have the confidence, they must believe in the rule of law, so that when you are not paid on time, you are sure if you go to court, you will succeed or lose the case. When you win, you win.
According to Equip Agency, its debt has compounded to over 80 billion shillings today. Calvin Kodalo, Look Up TV, Nairobi.
Thank you, Calvin Kodalo, for that. Now, moving on, pension fund trustees have been urged to show greater accountability to members by providing the right and necessary information to the pensioners. Now, speaking at the official opening of the 3-day pension trustees seminar in Nairobi, Zamara Group Chief Executive Officer Sandeep Zaishura said that adequate member communication was the greatest failure within the pension schemes.
According to the head of the pension firm Zamara Group, Sundip Raichura, pension firms should work to improve the living standards of the pensioners by working on the pensioners' entire financial journeys.
And one of the key insights that we are drawing from our research is that instead of just focusing on the point of retirement, we should focus on an individual's entire financial journey. From the time they join employment, become a member of a pension scheme, to the time they retire, to ensure that members of pension funds receive more information than they currently do. For example, all members of pension funds in Kenya receive a benefit statement currently, and they can also access their benefit statements online through the portals that we have as Zamara. But we feel that we need to go a step further, because if you give somebody a benefit statement that says you've got 1.2 million shillings in your account, that person might think, I'm going to do well. But if you then translate that to say this is going to give you a pension of only 4,000 a month, you are likely to get some action from the individual member to either make more saving or to appreciate that they will suffer an impact on their standard of living.
Raichura also urged the government to seriously reconsider the current tax deductible limit on pension contribution of only 20,000 shillings a month and have this substantially increased, given that it had not been increased for nearly 20 years.
And eventually we should look for a way of saying, can we use some of this money as collateral for people to be able to access, to make credit more affordable, right? So there's, over the next 3 years, we will be talking about these things and how we can make our pensions industry more vibrant. We're a country where almost 85% of the working population is in the informal sector. More than 80% of jobs are being created amongst in the informal sector. So this, if we are going to say that we have a vision of having everybody covered under pensions, we cannot afford to ignore that large number of people in the informal sector. So
the Zamara Group CEO added that pensions are critical to Kenya's economy, holding more than 30% of the government debt and significant holdings at the Nairobi Securities Exchange. The Retirement Benefit Authority Chief Executive Officer Nzomo Mutukum remarked on the need for continuous training of scheme trustees on risk management and possible impact and the possible changes in the pension sector as a result of the COVID-19 crisis.
There are so many proposals on taxation. We are proposing increasing the tax-free amount, which is 600,000. We are proposing that to be increased. We are proposing increasing the tax-free 25,000 on pension. Which other ones do we have? We have around 4 or 5 tax proposals. And even last year we had around 4 or 5 tax proposals, which we submitted to Treasury. We went there and explained to them very well, but they did not take them up. I think we have not given up. We have brought them back again. And this is where we also need industry to help us. When this goes to Parliament, it's an opportunity also to see whether some of these things can be brought at the level of Parliament.
Stakeholders in the pension sector have argued that the industry is currently facing a lot of challenges in Kenya as it sails through the COVID pandemic and difficulties in increasing penetration and awareness and promote a saving culture among Kenyans. Ndakwa Were, Look Up TV, Nairobi.
Now, thank you so much, Ndakwa Were, for that report. African youths have been challenged to be the engine that drives peace and development in their respective countries and in the continent at large. The African Union in July 2020 adopted the Continental Framework on Youth, Peace and Security, which reiterates the involvement of youth in the area of peace and security. Now, these frameworks identify youth as pivotal actors in silencing the guns in Africa. This week, Nairobi played host to a high-level ministerial conference on the role of regional economic communities in promoting the youth, peace and security agenda in the East and the Horn of Africa. We caught up with Akumo Claire, a peace ambassador from Uganda, and spoke about the role of youth in promoting peace.
Thank you. My name is Akumo Claire, and I am a young girl and women's activist from Uganda under a program called She Leads. Yes.
Let's talk about Youth for Peace. That is what we are selling today. What would you say is the place of women and girls, because you say you advocate for that, when it comes to promoting peace in the country?
Well, I think women and girls have a very, very important role to play when it comes to peace and security, and it is high time that that organizations and stakeholders give women and girls a chance to actually play the role, because statistics show that peace negotiations that involve women are more likely to be successful. So I believe that women really, really do have a role to play when it comes to peace and security.
Let's talk about now when we are promoting peace and security, and most of the time when this message is being passed, it is the women that we put on the forefront. We say the youth and women need to be protected. Are we doing enough when it comes to protecting the women and the youth, on just making sure that they are safe and we promote peace and they are actually secured?
Thank you so much. Now, it comes to making sure that women are safe. I think the first thing would be to address the challenges that women and young girls face. First of all, the teenage pregnancies, the gender-based violence. Because if these challenges are not handled, then it is very hard for us as young girls and women to actually feel safe and push forward the message of peace and security.
Now let's talk about your country, Uganda. What will you say you are when it comes to peace and security, and especially for women and also the youth? At what point are you?
Sorry?
At what point in your country are you when it comes to promoting peace and security for young girls and women and also the youth?
Well, as a country, Uganda, we as the activists in Uganda are trying our best to ensure that the status of young girls and women is uplifted. And for that reason, we have programs like She Leads that are doing everything that they can to ensure that young girls like me have a voice and a space to actually express our opinions. And also, very many stakeholders, as well as the ministries in Uganda, we are working together and to ensure that we give young girls and women a safe space to actually express themselves, so that in cases where they experience issues like gender-based violence, they know that there is a support system that has their back. Yes.
Let's talk about the issue of elections, because elections in Africa most of the time are always violent. Uganda recently had one. Kenya, we are getting into an electioneering period, and we've already started seeing violence and all that, things just that are not for peace, but against peace. What will be your message, just relating to what has happened in Uganda before when it comes to elections, and what Kenya is going to experience come 2022?
Well, my message would be that we as the youth, we as people out there need to take some issues into our own hands. It is not okay for us to be spreading a message of violence, but rather we should do all that we can to spread a message of peace. We can have peaceful elections, it is very possible, but it is up to us, the people, to change our mindset about how we look.
Now let's get sporty. Olympic champion Perez JEPCHIRCHIR is setting her sights on the New York Marathon, which will take place tomorrow. The last year's edition did not take place due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Ethiopian Kenenisa Bekele is another big name looking forward to the New York Marathon as he makes his debut in the same edition.
After a successful Olympic triumph in Tokyo, Japan, Perez JEPCHIRCHIR has now set her focus on the New York Marathon that will take place tomorrow. JEPCHIRCHIR triumphed in a duel with compatriot Brigitte Kosgei to win the Tokyo Olympic Marathon. Expect such a race from rivals including American Molly Seidel, who picked up bronze at the Games. Sally Kipyego, who finished third at the 2020 US Olympic trials, is also among the 13 Tokyo Olympians to feature in Sunday's race 3 months after the Games. Kenenisa Bekele, the second fastest marathoner of all time, with a 2 hours 1 minute 41 seconds personal best, is the only runner in the men's field with a great performance to his name, but he will have to fend off Olympic silver medalist Abdi Nagiye of the Netherlands to reach the top of the podium. The New York City Marathon, which did not take place last year due to the COVID-19 pandemic, will have a number of safeguards in place, including mandatory proof of vaccine or a negative test within 48 hours before the race. Alvin Khayumbi, Lookup TV, Nairobi.
The front, Yahulo maybe misread the course there, I'm not sure, but JEPCHIRCHIR.
Now, today's video of the week is about a town supporter of ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi.
umsasa nokulongi alachenda hata naborokora nabala musalia bula watisa ninawo nenda watisa kama wewe utaki musalia si usimame sisi tukuunge mkono useme musalia hawezi lakini mimi nitaweza. Sasa wewe utaweza na sisi utaki tuunge musalia. Unataka nani? Hata nimeona Muhisa mheshimiwa ametoka London, sijui ni Australia, sijui ni wapi, na yeye kwa sababu ni kijana yetu ya diaspora akujangi matanga. Muhisa akujangi matanga. Mumewahi ona Muhisa kwa matanga? Sasa akikuja hapa asiwapatie 200, awapatie 1000. Kila mtu kabla Muhisa hajaongea mnampiga fine ya 1000.
All right, that does it for us here. But let me wish someone who is watching a happy birthday, Tarel Ray Enaga. Thank you so much for watching, and happy birthday to you. As you age, we wish you the very best. Yes, that does it for us here on Trending News. But I'll take a couple of your comments here. Hebrews Wallan says he's watching. Celine Yagere says every day there is always stories making headlines on death and killings. What is happening to in our country these days? It's so depressing watching from Kajiado. Nelly Andrew says the painful part of school fires is that the parents will have to shoulder the cost of the damages and repairs. Let us remind our brothers, sisters, nephews, nieces, cousins that high school only lasts for 4 years. After that, they will be out on their own making good and bad choices. If we all ban schools in our days, they wouldn't have a place to ban today. That's a very good point. Now, Joey Mark says, there goes Kalonzo with free education promises. Instead, he should cement what President Kibaki initiated and check whether there is free education as we speak. Thank you so much to everybody that made this bulletin a success. My director, Sami Dewa, the control team, and the technical team for all your contributions to this bulletin. My name is Brian Amoy. Have yourself a lovely evening.
Like, follow, subscribe,